Good evening and welcome to Season 2 of the SSRI GT4 Championship. I am SSRI Ambassador Sam Pierce. Joining me in the comms box this evening is Ryan Walker, and we've got Steve Proudly manning the cameras in the background. Now we kick off the season at the beautiful Suzuka circuit located in Ino, Japan. This 3.6 mile long circuit was originally built as a Honda test track back in the 1960s and is one of only two FIA grade circuits that feature a figure of eight layout where the back straight crosses over top of Sector 1 just after the Degner curves. Now, this highly technical and demanding track features some of the most famous corners on the calendar, including Spoon and the infamous flat-out 130R. Now, the current real-life GT4 lap record at Suzuka is a 2:14.6, posted by Shinya Hosokawa in a Mercedes AMG that was done at the 2022 Motul Japan Cup. However, that lap time has already been obliterated by one of our drivers in the free practice server this week, with Aaron Walker posting a blistering 2:11.2 in his number 99 KTM Crossbow. So it looks like we are already in for an exciting race, Ryan.
Yeah, absolutely. Suzuka is one of my favourite tracks on the ACC service and also in real life as well. It's been host to so many real life races and it's had some famous moments over the years, and also had that famous moment in the Casio Triangle chicane between Ayrton Senna and Alain Prost in 1989, which pretty much decided the championship and handed it to Alain Prost. But it's also had that moment in the 2005 Formula One season where a famous Fernando Alonso overtook Michael Schumacher around the outside through 130R, which is still one of the bravest and gutsiest moves that I've witnessed. And I think today it's going to be host to some great racing in this GT4 championship, and with the GT4 cars, there's not really anything to separate anyone.
No, it's there's definitely quite time tight in the top of the timing boards. The top five in the free practice that was opened up during the week. There was less than a second between them, and Dennis Workman, our lead AM racer, was right up there with the pro guys as well. So I think we are in for some edge of your seat racing tonight.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's the thing with these GT4 cars as well. They don't have as much downforce as say the GT3 cars, but they've still got the other assistance or aids, if you like, such as ABS and traction control. But these GT4 cars it's more down to the driver.
Yeah, like a lot less grip, lot less speed to be able to handle the less grip. So I find it does tend to lend itself to a lot more closer racing, a lot more battling. And people deciding to whether to be brave or not. So let's head out into the latter half of qualifying and see how the grid is forming up. So speaking of Aaron Walker, we've just jumped on board with him, and it looks like we are just coming up to Spoon actually. And you'll see the light just starting to fade. It's 6:10 in the evening server time. So this is going to be a night race. It always adds just an additional hint of challenge into racing. Do you like racing at night, Ryan?
Yeah, I've done quite a lot of night racer on ACC. I've only done one night race around Suzuka, but I find the night races around Suzuka has the challenging aspect to it, because there's some parts of the track where it's really difficult to spot your entry to the corner in the dark, and especially this corner we're coming up to here, or we were coming up to the chicane. It's so difficult to pick out your braking point. But this also this section here, heading up to Spoon, it's one of those sections that the entry is so difficult to get right, because you're kind of braking and turning at the same time. You want to clip that inside curb, and then I guess in a way as well, Spoon, you want to treat it as a double apex, I guess.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, it's definitely a difficult corner at the best of times. You know, trying to spot, you know, not only your braking points but your turn-in points. But that section of the track is unlit at night, so it just makes it even worse trying to spot where everything is. Thankfully, you know, the first half of Sector 1 and the last half of Sector 3, because it's coming into the grandstand sections, are now you know, fully lit, so the spotlights a little bit easier to pick where your braking points and turning points are, but still just adds a challenge to an already challenging track. So it looks like we are hopefully going to stick with a full lap of the Suzuka circuit on board with Regan Mitchell in the Maserati. Now, if you're unfamiliar with the Maserati in ACC, this car has 0 traction control and 0 ABS. It is an absolute handful. We were chatting just before the stream started of how brave Regan is to take this car. Second season in a row he's driven it, so better him than me, I'd say.
Yeah, absolutely. The Maserati, I've done some offline laps with the car, and it's a fun car, but it's one of those cars because, like you say, there's no traction control in it. You've got to be really careful with the car, otherwise if you're too heavy-footed, for example, the car can bite you. But seems to be Regan seems to be on top of the car and seems to be very comfortable with it. Like you were saying, he seems to be doing well with it, and considering it's got no traction control, that's quite a good achievement. But as it comes out of the hairpin now, and one of the most important corners there, the hairpin, because you want to try and get on the power early, carry that momentum heading up to the spoon curve, what's where he's heading up to now. And like I say, it's one of those corners that's so difficult to get right, but it's so rewarding if you do get it right. As he clips the first of the left curves and hopefully clips the second curve, but on the inside of what he manages to do. And this is important as well. We need to try and carry that momentum on the exit and carry that speed up to 120R, which is one of the, well, for me anyway, one of the most fun corners around Suzuka, because if you're close to death around the 130R, I find it's good fun.
Yeah, it's probably one of the only times that being close to death is fun, but yeah, it's when you get it right, it's one of those corners. I find a Rouge at Spa is another one that you know, just getting it right just feels amazing, but the knife edge between getting it right and getting it wrong is just so finite. And Regan crosses the line, maintains his third place, but I believe he took a couple of tenths off his time with a 2:11.6. And we're now on board with Andrew Richardson, our current pole sitter in the Porsche. And he's actually dipped into the 2:10s. Wow, that is quick around here in a GT4.
Yeah, absolutely. And just looking at the gap to second place as well, where Matt Richardson seconds, the gap is around about just about half a second by the looks of it. So that's quite a big gap when you think about it, especially around here. And it looks like Richardson's actually just pulled off.
Yeah, so he's abandoning his lap. Sandervale had a really good season last season. Did really well. We're really glad to see him back. So we've just jumped on board with Dennis Workman, who is currently a second up on his time. So if he maintains that, that could jump him certainly up into the top 10.
As he just heads through 130R now, and it looks to be a tidy lap at the moment, as he's just got to get through the chicane, and a difficult chicane, one of those that you've got to get right, and it looks like he's got a good exit here, and he's about 1.4 up as well, so he's going to improve massively.
Yeah, so it's such a long wait for the finish line here, but wow, puts him up into P2. What an amazing lap, and that from an AM driver as well. That is quite an impressive lap. So that was a 2:11.3. So yeah, 4 tenths off of pole. Okay, so have a little bit of a break while they form up the starting grid. So what are you most looking forward to in the race tonight, Ryan?
I think it's with it being the first round of the season. I think some drivers might just be a little. I wouldn't say cautious, but just be a little bit wary as well. But they'll probably recognise it's only round one of the season. There's still a long way to go, and just finishing and picking up the points is the main thing. But I think I wouldn't be surprised if you see some of the AND drivers like we saw with Workman. They're being up at the front and mixing it with the really quick guys up at the front. And I think one driver to look out for, I think, from my experience of watching him, could be Matt Richards.
Yeah, Matt had a couple of bad luck rounds last season. He's a very, very quick driver. We expected him to be, up there by the end of the season, but it just had a couple of rounds where the racing just didn't quite go his way. But as we go down then the lineup, one of the things that I'm definitely looking forward to is we've got a couple of new names coming into the championship this season. So I'm very interested to see how the new drivers slot in with the the names that we're all already familiar with. Ryan, do you want to go through the starting grid?
Yep, absolutely. So, taking pole position and they rounded out the front row is Richardson and Workman, with Richards in third, with Miltdale in fourth, and then Vale in fifth, Walker sixth, and then seventh we've got Pixley with Van Mellis in eighth, and then ninth we've got Vanste, hopefully I pronounced that right. And then 10th, rounding out the top 10, we've got Lenson, and 11th, we've got De Kaiser. 12th is Sleater, 13th is Van Dijk, and then we've got our very, very own Dave Hedges in 14th. And then 15th, we've got Cooper, Wargers in 16th. 17th is Tractor, 18th is Barth, and then 19th, we've got Nijsboer. And then rounding out the 20 is Schenk. 21st is Hop, 22nd is Taffus, and then 23rd we've got the Wild Fins driver Denise Pope.
Yeah, I'm quite surprised to see Denise down in 23rd. She's normally a very, very consistent and quick driver, so I think she might have maybe experienced some traffic or maybe just struggled to get a clean lap in. But one thing that I know from racing Denise Pope in the More Female Racers Championship, she is very good at coming through the pack. Very, very clean racer, very tight racer. So yeah, be interesting to see what places that she can make up, especially at the start.
Yeah, absolutely. Denise is one of those drivers that I've watched a few times in GT4 machinery, and yeah, she's got the patience. She's definitely one of those drivers to look out for, and yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if she makes progress through the field as the race goes on. And talking of the race as well, the race line for tonight is I believe it's roundabout. It's a 1 hour race, so plenty of time to make progress through the field, and also as well with these races, I think. Yeah, just double checking as well before we get underway. There's a mandatory pit stop, so that's the drivers as well. I think they'll have some drivers will have a strategy of trying to.
Yeah.
And just talking about the pit stops as well. There's one mandatory stop, and then also I think you're going to take us through what rounds are coming up there, Sam.
Yeah, so we're obviously opening up the season at Suzuka for a 60-minute race. Our next round is going to be September 2nd at Brands Hatch for a 75-minute race. Then we go down under to Mount Panorama on September 20th for a 90-minute race, and that will include also a mandatory stop, but also for fuel and tires. So that will make the strategies interesting then. Then we head out to America, to Watkins Glen, one of the new tracks that was just introduced in the off-season update. and that's going to be October 18th for another 75-minute race. Then we head out to the infamous Spa, November 1st for another 90-minute race. Then November 15th, we head over to Zolder for round 6. And then the season ends November 29th at COTA, Circuit of the Americas, for a final 75-minute contest. Just touching on what you were saying about pit stops and strategies for the 60 and the 75-minute races. There is mandatory stops, but they are mandatory stops for fuel only. And from what I understand, there is no minimum pit stop time. So it's definitely going to introduce a lot more strategy into drivers' plans for each race. So, are people going to brim the tank and just do a splash and dash at some point during the race? They're going to split their fuel half and half and maybe make their pit stop a little bit longer. However, possibly make up that time in a lighter car and therefore quicker lap times. So it'll be interesting to see who goes with what strategy and how that plays out in the end. I've just noticed Frank Hopp, unfortunately, looks like he didn't hit drive in time and has been teleported to the pits. So Frank Hopp, currently down in 21st, has now ended up at the back of the grid and will be starting from pit lane. Not a good start to the season for Frank.
Yeah, that's one thing with ACC as well. But if you don't, I've experienced it in the past. Is if you don't hit drive in time, or you're too late hitting drive, you get put back in the pits, and it's not really something that you want round a track such as Suzuka, because the track it might look short, but it's quite a long lap, especially on a GT4, and it's definitely not something that they want, especially in the first round of the season. But still, a 1 hour race, still plenty of time to try and salvage some positions as the race goes on. Because you might, if you see some of the cars going through, like another car in front of them as well, don't worry people. It's a feature of ACC that you don't get damage. You can, I think, the cars are in ghost mode, I believe. So
just in the outlap only though.
Just in the outlap, yeah. So there's no need to worry about getting damage on the warm-up laps. So drivers can warm their brakes, warm their tyres, speed up, then slow down to warm the brakes up. So there's no need to worry about getting damage.
Yeah. So one of the things that and obviously it's a shame that Frank has to start from the pit lane. However, we do know that Suzuka can be quite challenging for that first corner, and he might have the advantage of avoiding some of the turn 1 carnage that sometimes ends up happening here at Suzuka. And everyone gets quite enthusiastic. It's a decent run down to that first curve. So it's not uncommon for them to go 3-4 wide. So Frank may have the opportunity of avoiding all of that to begin with. So silver linings.
Yep, as the cars are starting to line up in the double file now, so just coming into the chicane now, and I think this is probably the most nervous part of the race for me, because you're so.
Oh, I hate it. Yeah.
Everyone starts to get there a little bit nervous. The tension starts to rise, and people don't want to make mistakes. But as they're coming up to the start-finish line and they're just about to get underway, then don't be surprised if you see some cars bouncing up into turn 1 and maybe having a slight bit of contact.
Yeah, and hopefully we hope for some nice, clean, sportsman-like racing in SSRI, and it'll be interesting to see how it goes. And we are green. Looks like Workman just caught napping a little bit. Richardson has just peeled off, and it looks like Richards has actually managed to sneak up into P2. Looks like it's been relatively clean around the first corner. It looks like I'm not seeing anything in the background. we've had somebody who's just had a little bit of a wander into the grass. Not too sure whether that was aided or self-inflicted, but we might get a replay once the first couple of laps calm down. And it looks like Richardson is pulling in a nice healthy gap out in front. The timing board starts to catch up.
Let's come up to into the hairpin now. One of the corners that's so easy to outbrake yourself just because you're carrying so much speed. But it looks like everyone's managing to survive lap 1 so far. So further back we've got the rider on board of Aaron Walker in 5th place in the KTM, and yeah, a decent start from Aaron as well. I think he's kind of realising there's no need to get eager or try and make moves straight away. But yeah, the KTM, it's probably not everyone's favourite car, but I just love the look of it and just the body style of it. But there always is someone else further back in the pack that's on the off the track. Patrick Watts in the 777 onto the grass in the spoon curve.
Yeah, I don't remember seeing any KTMs in the GT4 championship last year, so it's interesting to see Aaron and our own Dave Hedges deciding to run it this year. I've not driven it myself, but yeah, it's definitely one of those unique body shapes, and definitely quite striking to look at.
And just behind Aaron Walker as well, we've got the Wildfines Racing, their Mercedes GT4 car of Pixley trying to make a move into turn 1. Is he going to try and make a move on the outside of turn 1? He does make the move and he makes it stick fantastic.
Yeah, and as we were saying about Denise getting in a good start, not only is she up to P13 from P22, 23, so made up 10 places already. She's already also got the fastest lap so far, so she is definitely on the move, and our 2nd place AM driver as well.
Yeah, I was about to mention she's second place in the AM class at the moment, so she's 13th overall, but 2nd in the class, and that's a good start to the race for her. And looking back up at the front at 2nd place, Matt Richards currently trying to hunt down the leader, Richardson, in front of him, and look at the sparks bouncing off the ground there. And yeah, that's the thing with these GT4's cars as well. There's sometimes they're low to the ground that you see the sparks as the battle for 3rd place going on as well between Workman and Mitchell as well. And yeah, that's what I like about these GT4 cars as well. There's always fantastic racing wherever you look.
Yeah. Well, yeah, one of the benefits of night racing, obviously it makes it a lot difficult for us commentators to see who's who, but you get to really see the exceptional ACC graphics working hard. You get to see the play of light, and and as you mentioned, the sparks coming up from underneath the car. The graphics in this game I think are just phenomenal. Absolutely love it.
Yeah, that's the thing I like with ACC as well. Like you say, the graphics are absolutely fantastic, and the other aspect of ACC I like as well is changeable weather. So you can start the race in the dry, and then halfway through a race, it can start raining. As we're looking at the replay of the start, and it looks like we might have had some contact into turn 1, and unfortunately the 31 car just been barsed off there.
Yeah, but it looks like he critically kept it out of the wall, so that's good. He should only have just a little bit of the contact damage, and initially not additional wall damage on top of that. And as well, it always adds insult to injury when you get contact on the track, which then leads you to get contact with a wall as well. And obviously, walls are a little bit less movable than other cars, and before you know it, your race could be done. And I've just seen that Richardson has now claimed that fastest lap. So just jumped on board with Richard Pixley coming into Spoon. Tries to go for the inside, little bit ambitious. But it looks like he's come off a little bit worse off out of that one. Then a little bit of a dive, but the door got very, very firmly shut in his face, and he ended up mowing the lawns.
Yeah, it was just, I think, there was a gap there, but it was starting to close from the looks of it, and I think it's just one of those moves that was never going to come off. But back up at the front, Matt Richards has closed that gap down to the leader Richardson. So Matt Richards at the moment seems to be absolutely on the pace at the moment and managing to keep that pace with Richardson with the gap at 7/10 of a second, but not too far behind those two are is Workman and Pixley as well. So a bit of a pack starting to form up here behind the third placement. And Pixley's making moves as well. Madison is getting through the field really quickly, so he's not hanging around. He's trying to go round outside into the chicane. That will never work. Oh!
I think that was just a little bit of an oversteer back in, just getting away from Dennis, and that is Pixley up to P3, I believe.
Yep, so that Madison to gain another position. It's a slight bit of contact though when he went to tried to go by, so he might have some slight front end damage.
And Workman came out quite badly out of that. He's now down in P11. So it's then a shame. So it's such a great qualifying result for P10. Now down into P11. With Denise Pope pretty much right on his heels as well. So Denise could be looking at that as an opportunity to gain first place in the AM Championship out of round 1. So that will be an interesting fight to come back to. But at the minute we're just on it's the replay. Yeah, so this is what happened to Workman. So he lost the back end, got touched, and unfortunately just spun round. And when you've got the pack coming up on you like that, it's just an absolute sinking feeling that you've just got to sit there and wait for car after car after car to pass you until it's safe to rejoin.
Yeah, it was just so unfortunate. I think Workman just lost it on the inside curve and maybe just got unsettled a little bit. But as looking further back in the field as well, looking at 23rd place man Dimitri Shenk in the 888 at the moment, trying to get by one of the Janettas, and Janetta, one of the cars on ACC, it doesn't seem to get a lot of love sometimes.
No, and it doesn't, but everyone that I know who's driven the Janetta says that it's a fantastic car. Apparently it handles very, very well for a GT4, quite sprightly. I think it might be just a touch underpowered maybe, but definitely some interesting battles going on throughout the pack as we jump on board with Tim Nybor. Coming up on to Denise Pope, so got a bit of defending to do. If Nybor stays a bit close, he could have a look up into first curve.
Yeah, that's it. This is the thing as well. Nybor is not in the same class as Denise Pope, but Denise Pope still has every right to defend that position as Nybor just goes slightly wide, but Denise Pope, even so she's in the AM class, she has every right to fight for that overall position. But at the moment, apart from some little slight incidents, I should say, it seems to have calmed down ever so slightly. But as we look at the 17th place car, the 110 of Nike Vargas at the moment in 17th, and doing a good job in the AM class as well. Currently sitting in the 5th or 6th place at the moment.
And I've just noticed, and as we were talking about strategy at the beginning of the race, I'm noticing a couple of cars already pitting early. So taking some early pit stops now, whether that's to repair damage or is actually part of the strategy. It'd be interesting to keep an eye on them. One of them being Aaron Walker. So it'd be interesting if that was a strategy call from Aaron. If he picked up some damage, might have taken the decision to pit early and get out into some clean air, get some hot laps in while everybody else is fighting, and see how it all shakes out once all of the pit stops are finished. So it'd be interesting to see how that plays out for him.
Yeah, and that's the thing as well, being in clear air, you're not being held up with traffic, you're not losing too much time like you would staying out and being stuck in a park, for example. But again, looking at 12th place, Tim Nybauer, still stuck to pretty much close to the rear of Denise Copeland, trying to get by or trying to get close to try and make a move. But Denise, fair play to her, she's doing a great job defending in 11th place and second in the AM class. And I think it looks like both of these drivers are both evenly matched with pace as well, and also straight line speed.
Yeah, I mean, Denise, she's a very, very experienced driver, probably, more experienced than her AM class might denote. This is a very, very competitive field with very fast cars. She definitely has the pace and racecraft beyond just an AM driver. So I think Nybauer is going to have his hands full trying to make that pass. As we currently jump on board with De Kaiser in P8, chasing down Valenduck in the BMW. And there's three tenths between them at the minute as they just come. I've not. Just had in our ear just point out the team name. Yannick Valenduck, the Duke of Yanis. That is a brilliant team name, and I've just noticed, it's just clicked. Dukes of Hazzard livery on the car. Beautifully done, Valenduck. My hat's off to you. That is definitely going to tickle me for the rest of the season every time I see that car now. Brilliant.
Yeah, I'd probably say that it's probably my vote so far for livery of the season.
Yeah, that's gonna take some doings. We're on board with Patrick Vance, having a go at his practice tractor in the Aston Martin, and Tim Nybauer just having another look into the chicane. It is closer this time, so he may have a go at the end of the straight. At least stick his nose out, just try and put Denise off, maybe get her to miss her braking point.
Yeah, he's trying to make it stick on the outside. Oops, sorry, Sam.
It's brave to go around the outside, but yeah, he's unfortunately not been able to make it stick. But he is close. He is going to be hounding her all lap now.
Yeah, he had a perfect run down the home straight, and he was closing up in the slipstream, but it wasn't fully alongside, so couldn't really make the move stuck on the outside into turn one. And it's one of those corners that you can make the outside make a move on the outside work, but you've kind of got to be slightly ahead into turn one.
Yeah. So unfortunately, we just missed the overtake from Valenduck to De Kaiser. He did get that move to stick. So we jump on board with Regan Mitchell chasing down Pixley. Now these two have kind of fallen away from the leaders. There's now a healthy 6-second gap back from Richardson to Pixley, but Regan in the Maserati doing his best to jump up onto that final podium spot.
Yeah, and considering that Pixley in front of him had the slight contact with Venkman in front of him after that spin, he's doing a good job of staying in third place, but I don't know if that damage on the front possibly might be affecting the handling slightly, but Pixley doing a good job, and it doesn't seem to be affecting his pace too much. it's a good point as well with the Maserati not having any traction control. The tyres as well on the exit of the corners the tyres will start to suffer towards the end. So I think Regan needs to be careful about that and maybe just look after his tyres at the moment.
Yeah, with the mandatory pit stop just being for fuel only, it's unlikely anyone is going to take tires. So people are going to have to make these tires last to the end. Try not to get flat spots on them. Try not to overheat them. The good news is the sun is starting to go down, so the track temperature is probably going to start to drop. So that's going to help tires. But Regan, yeah, he's. I mean, you know, as we said at the top of the broadcast, he has driven this car quite a lot in the past. He took it last season, so he's fully aware of how much tires drop off in the Maserati, and I have no doubt he will be able to handle it without any problems at all. And then this seems to be quite a tight-knit little pack between P7 all the way down to P9. With so we just jumped on board with P9 and Dave Hedges, just fighting it out with De Kaiser. And then just ahead of De Kaiser, we've got Basban Millis, and then Valenduck at the lead of this train. And Dennis Workman doing his best to catch up onto the back of this train and just try and recover some of those places that he lost from that incident at the chicane.
Indeed, and even though Werkman had that spin as well in the chicane, he's still leading the AMPAS at the moment, quite amazingly. So yeah, it looks like he's not been compromised or he's lost too many positions by the looks of it. So doing a good job, but it's a ride on board with Van Melis into the chicane, and I do like that livery on that Porsche Cayman. It's a very, very artistic.
Yeah, I quite like it. I quite like it. It's like a very confused zebra. Just see Dave Hedges just pull over, trying to defend from Workman, just forcing him around the outside. And this is going to be tight, but I think Dave is going to keep the position, although he does now have the outside coming into the S's. So Workman does eventually get the place.
Yeah, that was a good move by Berkman, and further back up at the front, and Pixley is still holding on to third place, but he's starting to come under more and more pressure now from Mitchell and the Maserati. And see, I think having no traction control is not hampering Mitchell too much, and I thought Mitchell at this point of the race might have just held back a little bit and looked after the tyres, but I think he's just deciding now with the track temperature starting to go down and starting the track getting cooler and cooler as well. I think he's maybe starting to push a little bit more and maybe see if he can try and make a move on Pixley and try and gain track position before the pit stop.
Yeah, I mean, you could possibly argue that, you know, it might be in both Pixley's and Mitchell's, you know, best interest to work together and, you know, maybe not fight for it a couple of laps to try and bring that gap down to P1, P2. But, you know, I know Regan, he is a racer through and through, so he will fight to the very bitter end. Has just dropped back a little bit, coming out of this lap 9, coming on to lap 9, sorry. So just that half second back, as we see Tim Nybor having a bit of a dive onto Patrick Vance coming into the chicane. Not too sure if I would be overly happy with if I was behind the wheel with Patrick Vance at that rate, but there is stewarding, and after the race, if a driver does want to call into question any driver antics on track, but at least everything stayed relatively clean and no damage.
Yeah, looking at the battle for 6th place as well with Van Dijk and Van Melis as well, and it looks like Van Melis has lost contact slightly with Van Dijk, and Van Dijk and that Dukes of Hazzard's livery out pretty much. He's managed to pull away and build up a slight gap at the moment, and it looks like some drivers with the track getting darker and darker now, maybe just starting to struggle a little bit with missing the braking points. As I say that, Van Melis runs wide in the chicane and loses a bit of momentum on the exit.
Yep, so then De Kaiser took full advantage of that, gained a good couple of tenths just in that corner, so yeah, maybe a very slight lapse in concentration there from Bass. Bass looks like he's gotten in a good run out of Spoon, so may be able to keep the distance to De Kaiser heading up into 130R.
Yep, because they head through 130R now, and one of those corners that's so easy to lose it, especially if you take it ever so slightly. But as they head through the chicane now, and it looks like De Kaiser's not able to get close enough to make a move on Van Melis, but it looks like this pack is just spread out ever so slightly by the looks of it, and just up ahead of this battle with Van Dijk starting to be under pressure again heading into turn 1.
Yeah, this pack of 4, they're definitely keeping in touch with each other throughout the first 20 minutes of this race. I can't believe that over 20 minutes have gone by so fast. It's been a brilliant race so far.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been great close racing fair in the pack, and I'm just looking at the gap back up at the front between Richardson and Richards, and that's Richardson's managed to increase that gap ever so slightly, round to about 1.4 seconds now. So Richards maybe just easing off slightly and just looking after his tyres possibly. But it looks like at the moment Richardson has just got that slight edge when it comes to pace.
But P1 and P2 are still pulling more of a gap down to Pixley in P3. That gap now 8.2. So the leaders still pulling out more and more of a gap as the race progresses.
As they head up to the spin curve now, and Van Melis now, I think, yeah, it's one of those things. It's one of those situations when you're in a battle. It's you want to try and attack the person in front of you, but when you're under attack from behind as well, it's so hard to keep your eyes on who's in front of you and behind, and it's so difficult to keep your focus. And it's also easy to make a mistake, especially when you're being under attack and trying to defend an attack at the same time.
Yeah, they definitely got to keep your wits about you, and not just get tunnel vision of the car in front, but also, can keep in mind what's happening behind as well, especially when you are in this pack of multiple cars. It's not just one that you need to keep an eye on. As Workman is lining up De Kaiser for an overtake. De Kaiser's going to force him back around the outside. Let's see if he can. He's just not close enough to make that stick.
And look at one of my favourite cameras as well. This is one thing I do like about I do like watching the broadcast as well, is watching stuff like pedal cam, for example, watching the brake and throttle inputs, and basically seeing how each driver races and what their style is during the races. It sort of reminds me of the real life V8 supercar pedal cams in a way.
Yeah. You know what? That's actually the first time that I've seen that cam. I've not actually seen it before. That's quite cool. So obviously with Workman and De Kaiser fighting between each other, they are dropping Bas Van Millis just a little bit. That gap to Bas now up to 0.7 as we're on board with Patrick Tractor now up on the back of Tim Nybor, so giving Tim something else to think about instead of hunting down Denise Pope. He's now got to defend.
It looks like De Kaiser's under attack into the spoon curve now, and yeah, I think it's just that if the Workman can get a good exit and try and carry the momentum heading up to 130R, he might be able to try and get in the slipstream, but it's not close enough. But if he can maybe carry a little bit more speed through 130R, he might be able to close up under braking into the chicane. But yeah, it's just always Workman just gets a little bit sketchy.
A little bit of a wiggle there.
Yeah, that would have been a scary moment for him.
Yeah, it takes a very, very brave driver to have a go into 130R. But you know, and I think Workman just needs to keep the pressure on, just keep reminding De Kaiser that he's there, sticking his nose out every now and then, and just wait for the mistake. Oh, that's deep.
Oh, that was a bit of a gutsy move by Van Millis, and can he pull the move off? Yes, he can. Oh, that was gutsy.
That honestly looked like that was a missed braking point, but very, very well held from Bas. Very well done indeed. Brave as you like.
Yeah, how on earth both of them never had any contact into turn one, and I'm gobsmacked. But Van Millis, that has got to be move of the race for me.
Yeah, but Valenduk's not having any of it, and if Bas is getting hung out to dry on the outside, he's going to lose 2 places here. And he's going to have Dennis on him as well, coming into, where are they coming? Oh, it's so hard to tell where on the track they are looking backwards. They're just coming into the hairpin. It's just a completely different vantage point that you're just not used to seeing as a driver. You just completely lose sense of where you are on the track.
Yeah, absolutely. There's so much action going on. It's hard to keep up sometimes, but I'm still gobsmacked at that move into turn one. That was just like, wow.
Yeah, these drivers are definitely keeping us busy tonight, especially this pack of 4. Fighting for P5 to 8. They've definitely kept us entertained all race as we come down into just coming up to the halfway point in the race.
Yeah, absolutely. As Valenduk comes through the chicane now, and yeah, starting to pull away, but just ever so slightly. By the looks of it, it's got a bit of a not comfortable gap, but a bit of a buffer at the moment as they come across the line, and yeah, up into 5th place at the moment, and they doing well in the overall and in the pro class as well, sitting in 5th. And
yeah,
every time I look at that livery, I've just got the Dukes of Hazeltorn going off in my mind.
Yeah, and I've just noticed that Workman has managed to make the move on Bas as well. So it'd be nice if we can find out how that, where that happened, and as well, Mr. Cams, if we can. So, and obviously that gives Dennis Workman a little bit of a buffer back to Denise Pope, who's still sitting in 2nd in the class. So there is still quite a gap between Bas down to Denise Pope, but just having that extra car between them, just that little bit of reassurance for Workman that he's definitely got that 1st place. And here we go. So this is how Workman got the run. Looks like Bas had a little bit of a twitch coming out of Spoon. No, that wasn't coming out of Spoon. That was coming out of the... No. I'm lost. Oh, we are coming up to 130R. So yeah, it looks like he had a little bit of a twitch on the back end, which just meant that Workman had the run on him up the back straight into 130R.
Yeah, but it looks like he's got in the marbles and lost traction ever so slightly. But as Van Dijk comes through 130R and still under attack from the Kaiser, and I think it looks like the Kaiser's the quicker driver at the moment. But it's just a case of trying to get close enough and trying to make a move. And if you can get a good run here on the exit of the chicane and try and get good drive on the exit, it looks like he's got a good run. But it's just a matter of trying to close up in the slipstream because. And it looks like, but just being told as well, it looks like Matt Richards has pitted from second place and is rejoined in 17th place now. So, yeah, he's not lost too many positions or as much as I hope, but he's closed or he's joined back in behind a bunch of traffic, and that's not ideal.
It's not, but I've just noticed he's come out behind Aaron Walker. So we were mentioning at the top of the race that Aaron had pitted early. He's had all this time of all this free air, and it looks like he has put it to good use. So Aaron Walker up to P13 and is currently the lead pitted car.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And I think Matt Richards might be slightly frustrated by that, rejoining him, because Aaron Walker doesn't have to pit again. He's pretty much good to go until the end of the race. So Matt Richards, if he wants to get by, he's going to have to get by the hard way.
Yeah. Well, in the car in front of him, P14, Vrins, who I believe is new to the championship this year. I'm not familiar with the name. Even though Vrins, hasn't pitted yet, he still has track positions, so he's under no obligation to give up that place and can fight as hard as he wants. There is the argument as to, is there any point in fighting the position, but he has every right to. So, yeah, I think Matt Richards is going to have his hands full the last 27 minutes of this race. Be interesting to see where Richardson comes out in comparison.
Yeah, I was just thinking about that. What do you do if you're Richardson? Do you try and go as long as possible, or do you try and pit and try and cover off Matt Richards?
Yeah, I think it depends on if and when Richardson starts catching up with the tail end of the pack and starts coming into contact with back markers. So that might be the deciding factor as to whether he stays out to the very end. Or decides to pit and sees where it comes out.
And so,
when Workman just taking another bit of a peek down the main straight, but didn't quite work out for him. Ended up going a little bit. So when. So when we're just hearing in our ear that Richard's first lap after his pit stop, a good 2 seconds, 2 tenths quicker than the leader Richardson. So, 2 seconds, not 2 tenths. So he is definitely making good progress in comparison with Richardson, but. He is now going to be coming up on Aaron. He's made the pass stick against Brins. I'm guessing Brins didn't fight the position too hard. So yeah, definitely one to keep an eye on as we're back on board with Bass back fighting with Dennis Workman again. This has just been going all race.
Yeah, this battle has been pretty much going on for the whole, well, basically the first half of the race, and there's nothing really to separate this pack, as well as I think the person that's kind of causing this bottleneck in a way is pretty much Bergman by the looks of it, or the Kaiser. So no, sorry, I'm getting mixed up. There's so much going on.
So Valenduck looks to be the bottleneck. However, that being said, I do think that all four of these drivers are of a very, very similar pace. They've been trading positions between the four of them all race. So I don't think it's a case of anyone's a particular bottleneck. I think it's just a case of, you know, four fairly evenly matched drivers just battling it out.
Yeah, absolutely.
All for our benefit.
Yeah, is it just talking about that as Weirman tries to make a move into turn one, and there's a slight contact.
That's gonna come again. Yeah. Oh. 1, 2, and 3rd for good measure. Oh, Dennis.
Well, there's an appropriate song I could play for that. That is was it Pinball Was By The Who? But that was just an unnecessary incident. I don't know. I could understand that you wanting to try and get by into turn one, but the gap was kind of open, but the gap was closing at the same time.
Yeah, but it's so easy for us in comms box with the bird's eye view to say, oh no, that's not really a gap. But when you're behind the wheel, you get that racer's red mist. It's like, yep, there's a gap. I can go for it. I can get it. And quite often that's how it ends up. I know I'm guilty of it. You see a gap and it's like, right, I'm going for it no matter what. So yeah, it's just one of those things. And Richardson, sitting in P1 all by his lonesome, he's got no cars around him. So, and we're gonna see this again. We're on board with Workman, looking for the gap. And yeah, is just forever closing space. A little bit of a touch, but then it just degrades from bad to worse very rapidly.
Yeah, and the unfortunate victim that got caught up with that incident as well as he was going by was Van Mels, I believe it was. So yeah, it's just an unnecessary incident, but. It's like you say, I can understand wanting to get by and being frustrated if you're being held up by a slightly slower car, but as Matt Richards is behind Aaron Walker now, but Richards, I thought he would have got by, he would have got back. And this just being told as well, the Richards lap was a second faster as well, so I think Matt Richards, if he gets a good run into the chicane or even on the exit of the chicane heading down the home straight, I think he'll probably try and make a move. But as I say that, Richard pulls out to try and maybe just unsettle Walker, but I think Richards needs to try and get a good exit on the exit of the chicane and carry out momentum, but I don't think he's going to be close enough.
I think with the speed difference between Richards and Walker, I think this is just a matter of time. This might even be done now.
And Richards up inside into turn one, and I think that was I think Walker was realising that as well, that Richards is slightly quicker, or much quicker, I should say.
Yeah, I mean he's not rolling over and playing dead, but yeah, it's tough to defend against somebody who's a good second a lap quicker than you. I know from personal experience, I'm not a quick driver by any stretch of the imagination. There's just no point trying to defend, but you defend for practice and just hope that you defend cleanly. As we're on board with Patrick Vance against Princey, good mate of mine. I've raced with him for quite a number of seasons. Whatever encouraged him to take that color of livery, I have no idea. Pink and lime green just really doesn't work, Princey, honestly. But definitely some sound defending from Princey there. Obviously, Princeton has not done his pit stop yet, whereas Vance has.
I think this is pretty much going to be similar to Richards and Walker up at the front. Vance is going by I thought he was going by into the sprint curve, but he decides to back out of it. And yeah, I think Prince run a little bit wide there in the middle of the spoon curve, and I think Vance as well looks to be the quicker driver out of him and Prince, and maybe I think he's waiting until maybe the home straight to try and make a move.
Yeah, as long as he can keep in touch with him, I think he's actually going to get the move done into 130R. So obviously had a really great exit out of Spoon, and gets it done in plenty of time. Wait, where did Princey go? Hang on a minute.
Yeah, was it? Oh,
oh,
off.
No.
Oh, please don't say he's lost it in the middle of 130R.
Oh. I wonder if that was possibly aided, or if he's just dropped that on his own. So we're back on with Richardson up in P1, just driving along on his lonesome. A good nearly 12 seconds back to P2 for Richard Pixley. So he can just drive his own race. The only thing is, if he does have to be mindful of what's going to happen in the pit stops, as we see what transpired with Prince. Then the move was already done. Yep, just got a little bit too much of the inside curve, pulled him onto the other curve, and just a little kiss of the wall for good measure.
Yeah, he just tried to take as much curve on the inside as possible, but that's the risk you take as well. But if you take too much of the inside curve, it unsettles the car, and unfortunately he found that out. But he nudged the wall, but it wasn't a big bang against the wall. So luckily he managed to get away with it. There's the 110 car of Nike Vigors going wide there through the gravel there, and I thought it was going off into the wall there.
Yeah, he did well to hang on to that. And he's looks like that was what we come on board with, was just the aftermath of him overtaking Prince in the 213 Porsche. So when just looking at where Matt Richards is, still holding fastest lap and sat in P11. Richardson, I've got a feeling he's going to hang on to the bitter end before making his pit stop, but it's going to be really, really fascinating to see how then this plans out and where it's all going to shake out after the pit stops between Richards and Richardson.
I'm surprised that Richardson didn't try and maybe pit early and try and cover off Richards, but I guess he must be running he's running a slightly high, pretty much running a full tank of fuel and trying to go as long as possible, and maybe trying to just take a splash and dash in the closing stages of the race. But yeah. I guess if you're Richardson with a clear track in front of you, you just try and stay out as long as possible and try and put down some hot laps.
Yeah, I mean, and I've just seen just looking on Pitwall Live, their lap times were about a second apart in favour of Richards, being a second a lap faster than Richardson. But last lap, Richardson has pulled out a decent lap of a 2:12.5, and Richards last lap a 2:12.0. So. There is still, quite a bit of lap time difference between them. So if I were Richardson, I don't know about wanting to stay out too long, but who knows? Yeah, it's definitely going to be an interesting one.
We're looking at Richards now coming across the line now, and he's pulled away slightly from Aaron Walker behind behind him now. So Richards not under any sort of pressure, so that gives him a chance to just pull away and maybe just put down some quick laps. But Richardson, I have to say, it's been a commanding drive from him so far. There's no one challenging him, and I think after the pit stops, that'll be a different story. Whether he can maintain the lead and stay in front of Richards remains to be seen. But at the moment, if I'm Richards, I would think about coming into the pits now and just try and minimise that the time loss a little bit to Richards, who's up into 11th now. So, and plus Richards as well is still putting in quick laps. So honestly, if I'm Richardson, get into the pits now and just minimise the time loss.
Yeah, I'm just sitting here racking my brain trying to remember what the pit lane time is here, because just looking on Pitwall Live, the overall gap between Richards in P11 to Richardson in P1 is 61 seconds. So maybe anyone in YouTube chat or maybe Steve, if anyone can give me an indication as to how long pit lane time is here. It might be a good indicator as to what we can expect when Richardson does eventually pit. Oh, so I've just had in my ear, Steve Bradley has put his cards on the table and is saying Richardson is going to be fighting for P3 of the podium. So you heard it, stream. We're going to hold it to it. Richardson and Pin. Okay. So, yep. Steve is saying that there is going to be a fight between Aaron Walker and Richardson. That Aaron is going to that Richardson is going to come out on top and take so we shall see. All interesting, all going to make for a bit of a nail biter coming into the final laps as we jump back on board with Bass. Just coming through the Degners, and has De Kaiser for company yet again. So, and as we've seen all race, then these four cars just, trading places back and forth, keeping the pressure on to the bitter end.
Indeed, and it's been fantastic racing throughout the field for round one of the new season, and then it looks like De Kaiser pulled out there trying to distract Van Mels a little bit, but yeah, both of these guys are close together, and I think De Kaiser might just be a matter of time before he try and makes a move and gets a great exit on the exit of the spoon curve and heading up to 130R now. He's on the slipstream, but I don't think he's going to try and make a move through 130R. If he does try and make a move, it'll be brave, but he's not close enough.
Yeah, I mean, and I noticed that the Bass had another little twitch coming out of Spoon, so I'm not sure, it might be something to do with his setup. He might be struggling with Spoon just a little bit, just occasionally see this little snap of an oversteer from the Porsche as it's coming out onto that back straight. As I think De Kaiser just dived into the pits behind him, and Pixley's in the pits as well, so out of this battle for four, we're now starting to get some pits coming in.
Yep, and I think it'll not be too long before some of the other front runners decide to make a pit stop as well, as Pixley comes out of the pits now and rejoins, and it looks like 10th position.
Yep. Yeah, so Richards, it looks like, has just snuck out in front of the Wild Things machine, but or is he behind? No, it looks like he didn't. He has come out. He is behind So. Just need to wait for the timing boards to catch up just a little bit, and yeah, so when Walker managed to get ahead of Pixley as well, so Pixley out in P10. Yep, so that is definitely going to make things very tasty coming into the, as we just come into the last 9 minutes. Richardson could very well come out in the middle of a fight between Pixley and Walker. So, hang on to your seats, boys and girls. This is going to be an interesting finish to this race.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the person that's in the perfect position, or the best position at the moment after the pit stops, is pretty much Matt Richards, because he came out in clear air. It gave him a chance to put some quick laps down, and he's managed to keep that gap, keep a gap up. It looks like Van Dux dived into the pits as well from 5th position.
I think that will probably put him out around P11, P12. Back out around De Kaiser, who was fighting with previously. As we're on board with our very own Dave Hedges, fighting with Lenson in the AMG Mercedes.
Yeah, Hedges is one of the other drivers racing the KTM as well, and along with Aaron Walker, and yeah, not doing a bad job either. And looking back, 15th place, Tim Neibauer as well. Him and Neibauer and Dries Pope from Wild Pines Racing have been pretty much together for the whole race, and yeah, Dries still doing a good job in the AM class. Currently sitting in second, and I think Neibauer's on a different class as well, so I think if Tim gets a run on Dries at some point, I think Dries won't make a big deal of it.
No, knowing Denise, I think she will. I mean, she's been keeping Tim back pretty much the entire race, and there's probably a good chance that Neibauer is starting to get a bit frustrated by it back there. So it's this will be another battle to watch. I think the longer that Tim stays back behind Denise, possibly the more frustrated he's going to get, just wanting to get the overtake done. So might start taking some more risks towards the end of the race.
Matt Richards and Aaron Walker as well are just checking the pace between Richards and Walker as well. It looks like Richards and Walker are definitely lapping slightly quicker than Richardson. So if I'm Richardson, get into the pits now and just you might not come back out in the lead, but try and not lose too much time, because Richards, sorry, I keep getting mixed up between both names. Richards is definitely quicker at the moment. I think Matt Richards could be the one, I'm guessing anyway, after the pit stops, he could be the net race leader.
Yeah, it is definitely going to be tight.
Did you have one? It looks like
is he going to hold it?
Neibauer's got the move done. Fantastic.
Bit of a twitch. Yeah, it looks like he has made it stick.
I had a feeling it was just a matter of time before Tim got by, and it was a good move. He managed to get it done, and I thought he was going to run wide there, but he managed to get the car turn back in for the second part of turn 1.
Yep. but nonetheless, an amazing drive from Denise, starting down in P23, up to P15, and second place in class as well. So I think she's had a fantastic race for first round out.
Absolutely. As looking back at Dave Hedges in 13th as well, and right behind the 12th place Dennis Verkman, the AM leader as well. So doing a good job leading this class. And again, I think he'll be like Denise in a way. He won't want to let Dave buy it that easy. But and the leader's I think the leader we're being told is going to have to pit this lap because we've only got about 3 minutes and 53 seconds remaining in the race. So that's about 2 laps, I believe.
Yep. So Bass has come in. So it's just P1 to P4 that now still is yet to pit. So on all eyes peeled on the front of the pack, but you know, then this fight with Verkman, Hedges, and Lenson is definitely a closest battle on track at the minute. Although Bass has come out just 1/10 behind Aaron Walker, so it might be putting some pressure on Aaron for the last bit of the race as well.
Hedges definitely a lot closer to Verkman, and the Lenson in front of him as well. And I think the KTM, from what I'm seeing, is definitely the leaders in the pits as we were just talking about as well. The leader is into the pits.
So when this is going to be the interesting thing. Where does he come out? So then, yeah, they're all coming in now. And Richardson's got the very last pit box. Right.
It's good.
Wow.
Yeah,
He's done it easily.
Yeah, I thought Richardson was going to fall back into third or fourth place, like the director was talking about, but apparently I'm being told I'm telling fibs. But anyway, we're moving on. But
it's all been recorded. We can play back.
But Richardson, I'm amazed he pulled that off. That must have been literally one litre of fuel.
Richards must be thinking, what on earth has just happened? Wow. So this was a podium that we weren't quite expecting. Richardson, Regan Mitchell, and Sander Vale.
I honestly thought Matt Richards was in the prime position to possibly take the lead, but I'm gobsmacked. But it looks like the 9th place driver of a tractor has got a drive-through penalty.
Oh no! Oh, it's got to be well, it's either track limits, because I don't think they do drive-throughs for speeding in the pit lane anymore. I think it's speeding in the pit lane is an automatic stop-go 30 now. So, yeah, track limits on the last lap. Oh, painful.
And that's the thing with the ACC as well, that some series or some tracks have a certain amount of off tracks or track cuts that you can get. If you take too much of the track cuts or get too many, you basically get a drive-through penalty, and that can bite you.
Yep. Now, obviously, he's not going to be able to serve then this drive-through, so it will be transferred, I believe, to a time penalty. But yeah, Richards, he has managed to get up to P3. So Sander Vale either had a bit of an issue, or when I looked at the leaderboard, hadn't quite shaken out his outlap. But as we cross over the line, it is Andrew Richardson P1. Regan Mitchell is now going to cross the line in P2. Great drive from him. And Matt Richards is going to take P3 in the McLaren. It's going to be a very interesting interview to see how that all panned out. If that was intentional strategy or just playing by ear, and what Matt Richards thinks of that. And this is close to the line between Valenduck and Van Millis, but Valenduck just gets it by 0.2. So, first race of the season. How was that? That was exciting.
Yeah, that was absolutely brilliant. That was absolutely brilliant to watch, and fantastic racing throughout the field, and some incidents, little incidents, but nothing major. And yeah, we had a fantastic race, and I'm still gobsmacked that Richardson managed to do that pit stop and still come back out in the lead. But that was a fantastic drive from him, nevertheless.
Yeah, so plenty to talk about. So while we wait for our top 3 drivers to get out of the car and come into the interview room, how are you looking forward to our next race, Ryan, at Brands Hatch?
Oh, Brands Hatch is a fantastic track, especially with these GT4 cars, and I think with it being a 75-minute race, I think strategy could come into play around there as well. And Brands Hatch as well, it's a tight track, so it's not really wide, and it's one of those tracks that can bite and punish you if you even make a slight mistake around there.
Yeah, proper old school British circuit. Really tight, really twisty. But even though it's a narrow track, there are still plenty of places for overtake opportunities. I love racing there. I think it's a brilliant track. Always good fun to watch. So if you are about in 2 weeks' time, definitely join us for that. September 6th. Mark your diaries, and then let's see how that all pans out. Right. Right. Okay, so we've got Regan Mitchell joining us in the comms box. How was that race for you, Regan?
Hello, it was sweaty. But a lot better than I thought it would go. I don't know how I got second, to be honest. I was expecting I'll just take a nice 6th place, move on to it, because everything was against, well, in my opinion, everything was against the Maserati here.
Yeah. You are a brave man to take that car. 2nd season in a row. What do you like about the Maserati so much? I mean, it is such a handful.
It goes back to before the 1.8 update. It was just back then. It was, for me, the best feeling GT4 car, and now it's the only one I can drive, really.
Excellent. So, was there any strategy in play leading up to the race, or did you take this all by the seat of your pants?
Well, a little bit of both. So normally in a race like this, you'd just take all the fuel you need, pit right at the end with 5 minutes left to go, and take the 1 litre, no tyres. I was worried about that with it being the Maserati, and around Suzuka the tyres only really last normally for about 40 minutes. So I thought about doing a pit stop with tyre change, but then I was like, nah, we don't take the easy way, and it worked out really well.
Ah. So what have you been doing in the off season to keep your eye in and your racing up to scratch?
Nothing. I've been looking for a job. This is my first time on in weeks.
Well, you did really, really well, and obviously we've got our next round at Brands Hatch in 2 weeks' time. And how do you like the Brands circuit? Do you enjoy racing there?
Yeah, I'm feeling better about that one. I feel like if I can keep it on the track, it might suit the Maserati a bit more than Suzuka.
Okay. Excellent. Well, we definitely look forward to it. Ryan, you got any questions for Regan?
Oh yeah, I was just going to ask as well. What made you, or what do you think of the Maserati? What do you think its strengths and weaknesses are?
Its weaknesses and its strengths are kind of the same things. It's the lack of traction control ABS. Like, there's no strength in lack of ABS, but the lack of traction control, surprisingly, it gives you a better exit a lot of the time than other cars. Not out of hairpins and things like that, but out of more sweeping corners, just pin the throttle all the way around. People who have the traction control running, they won't be doing that, and I'll be passing them on the next straight or before the next corner.
Good stuff. Well, again, congratulations on second place. Look forward to seeing you at Brands Hatch, and back over to you, Sam.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Regan. So, Matt Richards, how are you doing this evening, sir?
Not too bad. A little bit disappointed.
Yeah. So, how did that all pan out?
The pit stops don't serve any strategic purpose. That's the problem. There's no point pitting early to try and catch up a bit and use the quicker tyres. If you pit for tyres, you may as well just drive straight to the end and pit one lap before the end. It just makes no difference to the gap. So my mistake. Should have known better, but yeah, a little bit disappointing.
Okay. So, are you hoping for a better result at Brands? Do you enjoy Brands more than Suzuka?
Oh, definitely. I absolutely hate Suzuka, but now I know the strategy for the pit stop races, then it should make things a little bit easier for the rest of the season.
Yeah, Suzuka does seem to be a love it or hate it track, and so I take it that you are firmly in the hate it camp of Suzuka.
Oh, definitely, 100%.
So what have you been up to in the off season? Have you been racing, or have you been taking a well-earned break?
Pretty much absolutely nothing, to be honest. Did my first laps on the track today, so not put as much effort in as I probably should have, but still happy enough with the result, given the effort that I did put in.
Excellent. Right. So, looking forward to Brands then.
Taking the lead of the championship, hopefully.
Oh, and excellent. Love the confidence. Ryan, and any questions for Matt?
Yeah, what's your expectations for this season, Matt? Do you think you can challenge for the championship, or are you just going to take it race by race and just see what happens?
Probably race by race, to be honest. I usually take one of the underdog cars, like well, I've done multiple seasons in the Ginetta, but coming into this one, I just felt like it was time for a bit of a change, and instead of moaning about not being able to pass on a straight, may as well be able to pass on a straight and deal with the rest of the problems.
And is there any sections of Brands Hatch that you think that will suit the McLaren?
Anything where the foot's flat and there's no corners.
That's it. I like that answer. That's good enough for me. But yeah, congratulations on finishing third there, Matt. It's not the one that you wanted, but yeah, what did you think of the when you saw Richardson come back out of the pit still in the lead, I was saying on the broadcast I was expecting you to be in the prime position to take the lead after the pit stops, but it seemed to be Richardson just took literally 1 litre of fuel, or literally a splash anyway.
Well, that was pointless then, wasn't it? That was that was my first thought. Looking at it, like I said, you may as well just drive to the end of the race. There doesn't seem to be a minimum. You have to fuel by this much. You can literally just start on near enough, exactly how much you need to finish the race, and then just slap another litre in, and it's fine. Which is a little bit disappointing. It'd be nice if it offered some sort of strategy for it, so you could try and underfuel a little bit, maybe save fuel, go over fuel and go towards the end, pit, take tyres, or just try and do something like that. But you're not really left with any option but to just drive to the end.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I was surprised there was no pit window, but I'm the same as you. I think something like a pit window and having to pit by a certain point or before the end of the pit window would mix it up, I think. But still, it's still a good result for you, and we'll look forward to seeing you on track in a couple of weeks at Brands Hatch.
Cheers, should be good.
All right, thanks, Matt. And finally, Andrew Richardson.
Good evening.
Good evening. How was your race this evening?
Yeah, it all went to plan. First half of the race, I was sort of battling with Matt and knowing that one mistake would probably have him past me with the straight line speed he had. Then when I saw him pit halfway, I sort of already knew that I'd come out with a reasonable lead, assuming he had took tyres.
Okay, so planned from the very beginning then?
Yeah, in a race this short, when you have the opportunity to, just take a splash at the end, you're never going to recover the deficit you have if you change tyres, especially when you're likely to have people you're going to have to pass on track who are taking a splash.
And what's your off season been like? Have you been practicing, racing in other leagues, or just taking a deserved break?
I've been doing a little bit here and there. Been taking part in the Endurance Championship that SSRI run, which has been good fun, but obviously not much relevance to a GT4.
No, but all driving practice is good practice. Keeps your eye in, I find.
Yeah, absolutely. Keeps you sort of vaguely knowing what you're doing. I know my lefts and rights.
Yeah, that's good to know. So how do you are you in the like Suzuka or hate Suzuka camp?
I quite like Suzuka. I haven't driven it an awful lot, but I do find it quite enjoyable.
Okay. And what about Brands? Our next round out. Are you looking forward to that? Is it a track you like?
Yeah, I like Brands Hatch. I like that it's a track that's unforgiving. There's not lots of tarmac runoff. You make a mistake and it really costs you. I like that aspect of it.
Yeah. Excellent. Ryan, any questions for Matt? For Andrew, sorry.
Nothing to add. I think you've pretty much asked what I was thinking about asking as well. So, and Andrew's pretty much answered what I was thinking. Okay,
so Andrew, you feeling confident for then the rest of the season? And obviously, it's only round one, but it's always a good feeling to come out of round one and on top.
Yeah, as you say, it's only round one. There's plenty of the championship still to go, but can't have a better start than pole and a win, can you? So yeah, hopefully we can keep that up.
Excellent. All right, Andrew. Well, we look forward to seeing you at Brands in 2 weeks' time, and thank you for providing a great race to watch.
Brilliant. Thank you. Thanks, Sam. Thanks, Ryan. Have a good night, guys.
All right. Thanks, Andrew. So, there you have it, Ryan. Round one of GT4 Season 2 in the bag, and quite a great race to watch.
Yeah, fantastic race and a fantastic way to start the new season. And I I think it's a good preview of what's to come for the rest of the season, and also for the next round at Brands Hatch. Brands Hatch is one of those tracks that you've got to treat with respect, otherwise it'll bite you if you make a mistake or try and treat it with no respect. And it's sort of like as I like to call it, it's sort of like a baby brother to the Nordschleife.
Yes, and as Andrew was saying, there's very little runoff there. So yeah, you make a mistake and it can be very painful very quickly. So yeah, great track. So that's it for this evening. Thank you very much for watching. Do be sure to give us a like and a subscribe, and make sure to hit that bell icon to make sure that you get your notifications of the next time that we are live. So we are actually live next week for the kickoff of the GT3 series, which will be at Spa. I will be racing as well, getting then the gloves back out after taking a well-earned break in the off season to move house. So be sure to join us for that, and then we will be back for round 2 at Brands Hatch September 6th. So thank you very much for joining us. From me, Ryan, Steve, and everyone else at SSRI, thank you very much, and have a great day, night, and evening.